come and get these dropping jewels. Tryna build, he got the tools. Hair is where we make the rules. Ain't no need to fear, we'll bring it out to you here. Yes, we get into the real. Speaking how you feel. Pull up a seat and sit, girl. Inappropriate, girl. You can talk to T. Tune in and get the tea, but appropriately, as much as we can be. You gotta balance yourself, so you can challenge yourself. Yeah, you gotta balance yourself, so you can challenge yourself. Yeah.
On this show, it's appropriate to be inappropriate.
So, ladies, I just want to welcome you again to our second to the craft Girl Talk. Woo, woo. Woo. But the difference between the Girl Talk and the podcast episodes are it's interactive. All of you are my guests today. All of you will contribute to the dialogue, okay? So you're not just here to be cute and to sip and craft, but to sip, craft, and talk to your girl, okay? So, just a little bit about appropriately inappropriate. It is always appropriate to be inappropriate on my show. You can cuss, you can say how you feel. Yes. You have no filter, okay? But this isn't too heavy of a topic. It's about feminism. We're all women. You all should know whether or not you're a feminist or not. That's fine. But after today, you will know. You have a better idea, okay? So some of the things that we started with were some of the thought-provoking questions I had for you were, what is feminism? Second question was, are you a feminist? Anybody want to say? Okay, yes, thank you, Therese.
I would say that feminism is an idea, feeling, or act of uplifting or embodying womanhood.
Yes, okay. That's a good definition. She's a teacher, as if you didn't know. Therese gives a good definition of what she thinks feminism is. Does anybody? Oh yes, can you go ahead and hit that for me? Does anybody else have a definition of feminism?
It's the love of women and all things feminine.
Okay.
Feminine promotion.
Femininity.
I don't know how to word that, but you're promoting nothing.
I think that's the new word. So feminism is a range of political. This is the
Webster
Wikipedia.
Dictionary.
Yes. Feminism is a range of political movements, ideologies, and social movements that share a common goal to define, establish, and achieve the political, economic, personal, and blah, 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 blah. So equality for women, right? That's easy. Mainstream feminists, right? Movement traditionally focused on political, legal reform. Mainstream feminism, though, is often referred to as white feminism. Does anybody know why mainstream feminism would be considered white feminism?
They only support things that help white women move forward, not
Okay.
necessarily black women.
Because that's what they want us to achieve. Like they use that as the model. And
As-
so
right.
They expect that to be like the
Right. They consider mainstream equates to white, pretty much, right? That's why when people say stupid shit like, why do you have to emphasize black? Why do you? Well, it's the reason that everything else is white. So yes, we have to emphasize when it's black, just like black feminism, because that is a thing as well. Mainstream feminism. It's said to say feminism is the political theory and practice to free all women, women of color, working class women, poor women, physically challenged women, lesbians, old women, as well as white, economically privileged, heterosexual women. Anything less than that is not feminism, but merely female self-aggrandizement. That's the vodka. So that pretty much means that's like when people say all lives matter rather than black lives matter. Because we know that all lives matter. But then when you start to talk about all lives matter instead of black lives matter, you take it away from the message of black lives matter. And if you're already up here, what more do you need to be up here? So we have to focus on black feminism because we want to hopefully be up there as well. So when you're pretty much saying, oh, well, it's mainstream feminism or it's just feminism and not black feminism, then you're not paying attention to what we're fighting for as black women in black feminism. She just completely changed your pot. So, those of you who thought about the question, raise your hand if you said you're a feminist. Who's a feminist in here? Who considers themselves a feminist? All of these women in here and only one feminist. Okay, two feminists. So everyone else is.
Well, I would say yes, but I do believe in gender roles, so that's why.
Okay,
Like,
I'm kind of
it's kind of like
I'm
kind of like borderline, like
relative.
We're gonna get
very
there.
far toward feminism, but I don't know if I'm
Full feminist.
Yeah.
So you're probably, everybody in here is probably a feminist, right? When we think about the general, right, to a certain degree, because we do want equality for women until you go on a date, right? And then all of a sudden you're not a feminist. And that's real key, right? So
It's time to take out the trash.
what did you say?
I said I don't mind taking the garbage out, but I mean.
Yeah, we also don't mind doing a lot of shit. That don't mean that we're gonna do it, especially if it's a man sitting in the house just saying. But yes,
So you don't mind taking out garbage. Is there something that you do?
Like you want him to
specifically
wash his cars.
Yeah, take out the garbage.
change a tire.
Yeah, but if it doesn't happen, like I'm not.
We know that
gonna-
you're capable.
Right.
No,
I think that's what my I don't know if it's like confusion, but like I feel like if I can do it, then.
But you do
Right,
anything.
Right.
Exactly.
So
why
we're
not
all
do
slightly,
anything
we're all
that I
questionable feminists. Is that
do?
we are all questionable feminists.
That's why I
Spoiled
didn't
feminists.
raise my hand. Because
But
I'm like,
that's okay, because when you look at the definition, when I did start to do research on feminism, there are so many different forms of feminism. Just like how that word I couldn't pronounce, that literally was a term coined by a feminist. So just like she came up with that term, there are movements, female movements all over the world. There are also radical feminists who believe that it needs to be segregated, where it's strictly women, and women don't need men for anything, and that's a bit, I guess, radical, right? But they have all of those things. So we probably all are feminists, okay? Just maybe not,
It's great.
just spoiled, right. Now, what about a double standard in black feminism? Now, when I say a double standard in black feminism, that kind of made me think about like culture vultures, right? So like when, once upon a time, black women, we were shunned upon for like afros and natural hair, big butts, big lips. All of those things were like, we wanted to hide those things. We didn't appreciate that part of our womanhood. And now we see the culture vultures, right? Or even us celebrating our natural ways even more. What do y'all think about, say for instance, there was this magazine, Gucci or Vogue, and they had Gigi Hadid on there, this big time model, white model. She had an afro on the cover, and they even darkened her skin, right? So that, as a black feminist, I have a problem with that. Where somebody else black may say, oh, well, it's just fashion. The reason I have a problem, well, what would you have a problem with
but a
that?
black
I'll say
girl
that.
don't need wear her natural hair.
And then what would happen if the black girl tried going over her natural hair?
It says too black.
They would shrink that thing so
This ain't
fast.
essence.
What you saying? Less than
This
essence
ain't
was
essence. This ain't ebony. Look, those things that don't even have ebony anymore.
Right. So,
She said jet.
yeah, right. They don't have that anymore. Or like everybody's favorite, the Kardashians, right? Everybody loves their fake bodies, but when we had bodies like that,
What the hell are boxer braids?
oh yeah, they're called boxer braids.
No, they're cornrows.
Exactly.
They picking any braids.
So how do y'all, if y'all ever were to see something like that, like how does that make y'all feel? Do y'all feel like it's just them wanting to be a part of the culture, them appreciating our culture? Do you feel like it's them
I feel like
appreciating?
they trying to make money off of us.
Like trying to get money off of us. Okay.
I feel like they will use us as a resource, like a main resource, but never give credit.
Yeah,
That's
they
not
exactly.
comfortable. It's kind of like
They want everything black except the black
Problems.
negativity.
except for what really comes from being a black person.
Mhm.
Or
Okay.
the struggles that may come along with it.
What do y'all think there's a such thing as women's privilege?
Yeah.
I do.
Because
Okay.
I feel like in jobs too, like it's certain jobs that you go to and then whoever's hiring in their mind, this is a job fit for a woman.
Oh, so that's actually not even a privilege, unless you what?
No, they fill in a quota. If they fill in a quota.
I'm gonna get to the job plate, but I'm seeing that. I'm about to say.
If it's a good job.
So let me give you an example, because I use women privilege all the time.
I don't want to change those
Even knee and stuff, none that you just don't want to do, and because you're a woman,
damsel in distress works out well.
Damsel in distress
right?
works for me every day.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's terrible to say, but it's kind of like playing dumb or whatever. But at the same time, it is a certain thing. People use their white privilege, people use celebrity privilege, people have all types of privileges. There's a thing called pretty girl privilege, and we're going to use our women privilege, right? So if we act like we're a damsel in distress, we act like we don't know certain things. Do any of you do that?
That's what I've been doing. No, it's hard.
Are you really a damsel in distress, or are you just pretending? Now, I pretend a lot. Sometimes I do have blonde moments, but I do pretend a lot because sometimes it seems like I do it. Yeah, but people in general, yeah, because you pretend like you don't do it.
I mean, you can do anything. Of course you can.
Yeah, do it once.
see, I have a problem with that. I can't want you. I want you to know. Even with gas, I could put them like you need to know. I would say I could do everything. I would struggle carrying 20 bags upstairs by myself.
Do you have a boyfriend? Okay, how long y'all been together?
7 years.
So you still allow him to be a man though, yeah?
I do allow him to be a man, but I'm not gonna keep pressing him to do stuff. I want you to, if I ask or you ask to me as expected, eventually I'm not gonna keep asking.
Well, no, that's different. Yeah. If you ask, then eventually, you're gonna get shit done because you gotta get shit done. Yeah, I
Because the world don't stop.
Exactly, but I always
So you would prefer that he did it,
But
right?
that's what I was gonna say. Women like to feel wanted, men like to feel needed. You have to allow a man to feel needed at times. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing that men end up resenting in a way when a woman acts like I don't need you, and men feel that. You know what I'm saying? So it's
because they know already that we don't.
Right? No, I mean clearly they know that, but we want to just make them feel like oh I need you. Oh my gosh, thank you. So I guess that's the pretending to be a damsel in distress, and then I guess that's also going against being a feminist.
Yes.
But
That's definitely going against being a feminist.
like the thing is,
It definitely
what
goes
makes
against-
Hold on,
it
Tiffany's
wrong-
saying something. Go ahead.
Like I don't want to I don't think it's being a damsel in distress. I just feel like why do we gotta put a label on it if that's what I want you to do or if that's what you should do?
So that's considered a gender role.
I don't think you a damsel because your tire's flat and and you need some help for that or whatever.
It's only because if you're a damsel and they put that term on it because you're not calling another girl to help you out. You know what I'm saying? You're specifically calling a hook.
Maybe you call
Just recently, one of my friends, we had went,
Hold on, y'all having a endangered species in the building and everybody listening.
we went to go get waxes and her battery died and her boyfriend was where he was and she called me and I turned around, came back and I helped her.
Oh yeah, that's the easy
Jump
thing.
her car. It was a woman that she called me first. And then because she knew I was closer, you know how to jump a car? I'm like,
Right,
we'll
it
figure
is
it out.
simple. That is simple.
Oh yeah, when I was in the Walmart, I should have.
I will say that.
Can she help me jump?
And I had the plugs in my car.
But I did call
I
myself
can't-
and he came and drove across town to come help me with my bike.
Exactly. So I do know how to do all those things. I could change the tire. I could change the headlight. But if my man is right there, okay.
There's no way, and he shouldn't even want you to.
If he's there, I'll do that.
What were you gonna say,
My
Candace?
question is, what's wrong with wanting? Is there something wrong
Nobody
with me
said-
wanting to do for myself?
You're probably a
Does that
Nobody.
make me less of a woman? If
That makes you more of a
that's
woman.
me. Sometimes I'll call my mother before I call Brian.
Well, we already that's more too, Candace. That's more too. Nothing's wrong with that. See, this is the thing. All we're doing is we're saying that we're using our privilege. In that instance, we're using our privilege. We already know what we can do. It's just what we won't do or what we choose not to do. And that's just our own laziness or our own spoiledness. However, if you want to be Superwoman, go right a damn head. You know? What's your name again? Vic. I like you, Victoria. You have good. You have good lots to contribute. And look, Tiffany was over here earlier. She said, I don't even know what I would say about that. She got a lot to say over here.
I just have to think about it. I mean, here's the thing. If in certain situations, I'm not even going to call him. I'm calling AAA. I don't want him or me to have to bust down a tire.
Right. It's not anything to do with it. But that hasn't. That's not that we brought it to relationships, but it's not really about relationships. It's being a feminist, being a woman, doing everything for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but that is a part of doing something for yourself.
Call the AAA. Hello.
When you set yourself up,
case by case.
when you
It's
set
situational, yes.
Set yourself
So let
up
me
when you
ask
don't
you
need
this.
to ask somebody.
right, that's doing something for yourself. You set yourself up so that
Oh
you
yeah,
don't
for sure,
want to go
for sure.
on
We do.
anybody.
First of all, the thing about it is, women, we do run the world. Like we know that. We kind of do everything, even without actually doing it. Even if we put a little, say something to somebody in the ear, whatever, we still have the ability to control most situations. But then we're also, because of that, we're also smart enough to know when we don't want to do certain shit too. You know, so that's when it kicks in. Like, oh. Moving on. Do you think life would be easier if you were born a man?
No,
No black man.
And the second part was a black man. So the first part was just a man.
The only
like a
part
white
is a
man.
black man. 'Cause I can't think of it.
A white man.
anything. I can't think of white man.
So life, we all know life would be easier as a white man, right?
None of
Well, hold on. It
us
depends
white
on
anything.
what you think about life. You know what I'm saying? What you consider.
aspect of life.
Exactly. What part of life you consider to be happy? Because white men supposedly
Zero.
small penises, no rhythm. I mean, it's like a lot of things that. So it's like, but then we know as soon as but when I asked that, everybody said black men. And that's so sad though, right? Because we have black sons, we have black relatives, that's heartbreaking that we choose to be everything but a black man. But the more unfortunate thing is that we're a little bit underneath that black man when you think about the totem pole, right? So, no, you don't think so, no? Why?
Women come before black
You sure
women come
definitely-
before black men. When it comes to hiring and things like that,
Right.
they'll hire a black woman before they hire.
That's what I was
So you're saying in society, you think that black women comes before? But when I say that, I think that the least protected are black women. But that's least protected. Like you know how they make the joke to say if you want the police to come, have a white woman scream. Yeah, anybody ever hear anything like that? Or if they say, or think of instances where like the woman who shot in the air in self-defense and then she had to go to jail. If she was a white woman, she was a white man, then, I mean, black men, we don't necessarily know, but that's kind of shaky. Right, you have the right to defend yourself. But we know, so we say that we are all happy with who we are, first and foremost, and the only way life would possibly be easy is if we were a white man or woman, I guess, if you were white. That's so sad. Say that, I mean, in society, how society perceives you. So maybe I should have been a little more clear. Plus, we all are fucking black queens. Like, no, we don't want to be nothing else but what we are. But the way that society treats us, of course, we know it would be easy. The police pull you over. If you were white, you wouldn't think twice about it. Okay, man or woman. Okay. So that's what I meant by
I feel like with the police, I feel like any woman is gonna get pretty much
the pass.
No. All right, we ain't gonna say that for nothing. So don't get me started on that. Don't you do that.
my experience.
Your experience. My experience too, but the reality
is a lot. Yeah,
black women will get shot and killed just the same. So we did say about gender roles. We do sometimes believe in gender roles, right? Because there's that double standard that we have because we're sometimes lazy or we're sometimes, I mean, whatever. Like, so what are the gender roles? And if there are gender roles, is there a line that you draw? Like, are you saying, okay, well, I need you to do this, but I'm gonna do this?
I feel like it needs to be equally yoked.
She must have been in couples therapy or something.
Child rearing. I think women are just more equipped to do that. Like the more nurturing.
And I also feel like the kids just naturally go to mom.
That's the truth. That gotta be like a scientific fact, Rose. Honestly, it's like what they say, the maternal instinct or whatever. That's a real thing. So I agree with that too.
But it's a feminine trait though.
Gay couples that are two men, and you see the man is like very nurturing as well. It's kind of like not fair, but
maybe one of them feels like they have to because.
But then when you look at that, you look at that like as a feminine. You look at it as a more feminine,
right? Because it still is a gender role. Yeah, true. All right. So what else? What other gender roles are there? So we already said taking out the trash. So we already Candace said she's taking out the trash.
Anything correlated.
I don't know about the rest of it.
Don't take out the trash. But he does do that. But if it's not done, like I'm gonna do it.
You know,
I agree with that. Like if it,
And I'm not gonna be like, hey, take the trash out. Like if I want to see it done, I'm just gonna.
that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't have to say something. That goes
And a lot
back
of
to
times you
like
don't.
that goes back to like your background, your upbringing. Okay? My mother, she is old school from the Caribbean, and she don't play, right? She also has, when I say drop some jewels, she drops some jewels. Certain things she just say shouldn't be tolerated. If you have a grown man up in your house, there's no reason, whether you want to feel like a powerful woman or not, that you should be taking out the trash. So there's no reason, even unless y'all agree, okay, babe, I'll take out the trash. Like there's certain things that you can agree on. Like in my house, AT, I need you to do the dishes. I hate doing the dishes, but I'll do this instead. Some people may say doing the dishes is a woman's job, you know, just like Candace says, taking out the trash. So I think also if you are in a relationship and that's what y'all agree on, then that's fine. However, when I was saying with my mother, one of the things that she used to say is men should do certain things, just like when they say, okay, a man should walk on this side of the sidewalk. If a car hits you, they're gonna hit both of y'all. He's not really saving you, but it's just a part of it.
He needs to walk on that side.
He need to still walk on that side road.
Like, get on here, like, dang.
So like,
hurt me more.
So yeah, but it also works both ways. Say if y'all in the movies, you got a sweater, he cold. Do you give him your sweater? Does that make him feel a type of way? So if you don't give him your sweater, why not? But you take it out the
Because I'm
trash.
most likely cold more than him.
But you take it out the trash. It's situational.
what are you gonna drink it over your shoulders? He can't wear my sweater.
What you say? It might be on the side like a little scarf.
That oversized.
So there are gender roles. Are there gender roles?
I think people's outlook on gender roles are also kind of like how they were raised, because like look what you said, your mom. With me, it was my mother. My mother got 5 girls. It was just us and her. So when it came to like building stuff, taking trash, we did everything. So I grew up in it. For me, it's no gender roles. Like I'll take care of my whole household by myself without a guy if needed.
Exactly.
You know. So and like I said, I'll try it first before I even go to him and ask. And then he'll be like, well, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, I figured it out. But I think that was because that was how I was raised. Like,
but you know what's most important? He said what? Why didn't you tell me? And I think that's more of what it is checking to see what kind of man you have around you too. This turned into a relationship episode about feminism. But this is a part of women empowerment, knowing who the hell you have in your
my
bag.
mother told same mother you were talking about.
I was talking to him. My sister does it all the time. Makes sense.
My mother told me I was too independent.
I said you were too independent. Mommy said that?
When I moved that couch by myself.
She hauled a whole couch outside by herself.
How you needed to go?
Tambo, I've been with you. So I can agree. And I think
that's me.
Go ahead, Steve.
what you were saying, it depends on how you were raised. That's exactly how my family was. It's 5 boys, 2 girls. So the boys always did the things like the dishes, not the dishes, they took out the trash, they did certain things. But the girls always had to clean up, even to the point that we're grown. If I go to my mom's house today and my brother's kids have torn up the house, she will see her smoothie these dishes. No. Come on.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, no.
So, and I think it's just like you said, how you were raised and how they were raised.
Yeah.
We had to break those, but I definitely agree with that.
Right, and then
That's how
that,
you're raised.
I was just about that segues. That was a good segue.
It's not about a gender role. It's about the role you choose to play inside your own house. Like the problem is that people get caught up in what society says.
Preach.
Instead of running your house, like if
I
I take the trash out and my husband cook, that's how we
Exactly.
It's not really nobody's outside choosing.
That's
You gotta like erase that, like
the labels.
Even when we look at when you were talking about like how if we look at what people where gender or the other one is using our culture, but when are we gonna turn around and be like, okay, well we Latin, we don't even be embracing our culture the way that
Now we are.
Now we are, but like who like if we didn't even focus on using your energy to pay attention to that and use the energy like this setting right here, that's not normal. It's not really a normal thing with black women sitting around and like talk about, but we're gonna try to make it that way. But instead of us like being worried about what the other culture is doing with our culture, what are we doing with our culture?
And how are you gonna take it back?
We haven't done anything with our own culture like we should. And embrace shopping. Every time I buy jewelry, it's only gonna be from
T2
Right.
Boutique.
You know what I mean? Or things like that until we can build and keep on going more forward.
I agree with that.
That's what we gotta erase.
Hello.
So,
That's real shit. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more. Thank you. Go ahead, Fee.
our culture. I think there's a lot that we are doing with our culture, and there's a lot that of Black people that want to support what Black people are doing with their culture. However, what pushes me away, and I still slip a couple dollars to it, it's the service that's provided that I just can't. It's not just with African Americans who I just don't, they have, the customer service is bad, I won't go, it's all across the board, I will educate, hey, you can't talk to me like that. Or if you say, come at 2 o'clock to get my hair cut, and you gonna say, I got my mans, and I got you, I'm not coming to you no more.
But then there's certain other Black businesses that you
can go to another.
Exactly.
Correct. You're absolutely.
And everything's a teachable moment. And we ourselves don't learn something the first time. The point is, why do we always gotta give up? It's just like if your kid do something wrong. If we try to support our community, that means I gotta support you even when you
mess up. Think about how many times
we get dissed at so many places.
All it takes is one time, right?
Like if we fight a battle every day, why can't I fight it with my people?
I do go back, and I still support child. Sometimes, well, the experiences that I have when you try to educate, we don't want to hear what we have to say to each other.
Sometimes that's not our job. Sometimes it's our job to support.
Exactly. Just bring it back, because I do want to say something, and then I want to give Rose. That is very true, because I can't even tell you how many times Walmart, Verizon, I don't give a fuck what company done pissed me off, and I still go back and spend my money there. But just like she said, your standards or expectations for Black businesses either already low or already super high. And what you have to understand is a lot of these businesses, we don't have experience, we don't have the education, we going strictly on passion, and a lot of things we do have to learn. And it is our baby, and it is our art, and it is our craft, so we are sensitive about our shit. So you do also, although somebody may be argumentative or combative in that moment, you don't know what they can take away from that and how they're going to improve on the next go round. Right. And WeBuyBlack.com has 1,001 probably more than companies that you, so if one Black business don't work for you, you can go to another. And Rose, what did you want to say to rebut Fee?
I read somewhere where it said, I don't do business with Black people because they're like crabs in a barrel. But the rebuttal was, well, who created the barrel? So it's kind of like, we have a lot to learn. So we have to be a little bit patient with one another. On the same token, the same way when we go into our workplaces and we have to perform at a higher level, we go into the education system, we have to perform at the higher level to prove ourselves. Take that same energy into your own business.
Yes.
Small business agency has free workshops, free educational
workshops and things don't always equate to resources though. Like when you
that's a resource.
That's a resource.
No. When
to
you
learn.
say they may be out of something, we don't have the same credit lines that white companies do.
We're not talking about credit lines. We're not talking about credit lines.
I was thinking about when you said you go in and something's not available.
Yeah, like that's
I'm sorry, that's what I was thinking about.
Well, create a system where it's like, okay, well, put it up there. We ran out of chicken. Whatever the case is, so that you have, like when you walk in. If I came in for the jerk chicken,
all right, so it's like learning. It's like certain things. So the thing about, I think what she's trying to say too is, even though you may not know or your background, they didn't teach you, there are free resources, and I was going to get into, I'm going to go into that into my There's Money to Be Made segment, but there are free resources that you business 101. You don't have to go to college to learn regular ass common sense, how you doing when I walk into your establishment. But I feel like at this moment we're saying the negatives about Black businesses. So there are right, Tiffany, and then I want to ask another question.
So all the places that y'all went to that was Black and you didn't like.
Well, how many of them was it?
I'm just saying the people in general. How many of y'all went back to the place to talk to them. I
Oh, I
mean,
thought
maybe
you
you
were
did, but
saying
how
that.
many people do you think ever go and talk to them? Like we talk about what you should be doing. Who's spending
That's
time?
a cultural thing too, like we don't go and try to educate, we try to.
If you know that,
and they don't
It's
receive
just
it.
about talking. Like somebody might not take it. If you come to me and be like, I'm about to educate you, you gotta think about how you come across to the person at the same time because you want somebody to be receptive to what you're
Correct.
thinking. So
But I
you-
think some people just
but
don't
what
want to
I
hear what
mean
you're
is when you
Correct.
you keep using that word. So
Oh,
I would be a person who would assume you might be using that word. When
Oh,
you talk to
no, I
somebody.
don't.
No,
You sit
no.
there and say,
I need to educate you.
They look at you like, oh,
Now back to the topic, right, real quick. Because I just want y'all to know I have this gets me excited, right? But I have topics about why the black dollar is so important and how the black dollar doesn't get rotated. I have an episode about relationships. I have an episode about dealing with police and all of that. So we're gonna get to it. But today, right? And I need y'all to come back for all of that or listen for all of that. But why is feminism so important? Taking a look at the bigger picture. So these are just some of the things I talked about. So when we talk about feminism, we think about what we deal with here in the United States. Oh, I'm not getting paid enough. Oh, I don't want to take out the trash. But then we look at a global scale, and I found some examples of why feminism is so important. So young girls are force-fed unhealthy, high-calorie diets to make them appealing to their prospective suitors in some parts of North Africa. Girls as young as 6 are sent to special fattening camps during their school holidays where they're force-fed 20 liters of milk, at least 2 kilograms of millet, and 2 cups of butter every day.
Yeah.
They have a 16,000 calorie per day diet.
Fat meat equates
Then,
to
in some parts of southern India, on reaching puberty, their virginity is auctioned and they are forced into full-fledged prostitution. And then, some of you might have heard about genital mutilation in some parts of Africa, Middle East, and Asia. And that's, of course, to kind of like prevent or slow down their sexual appetite. So we talking all of this on a smaller scale, but we understand that feminism is far greater and far more important from people that suffer from way worse things in other countries because they're a woman. Because there was another thing I read about women's breasts being ironed and banged with stones just so that way their boobs don't grow to make them look appealing to men. So feminism is just all about being a woman. So as long as you celebrate, encourage everything about being a woman, then you're a feminist. That's the way I look at it. Now, moving on, on my podcast, there are a couple of segments. One of the segments is There's Money to Be Made. Y'all know I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business lady, I'm trying to get this money, okay? In this segment, we talk about certain business tips. I read an article. One of the main things we know that we're struggling with are wage gaps, right? We know it's a fact. It's a fact. I'm going to just tell you, 82 cents for every dollar a man earns. That's what women earn, 82 cents for every dollar. That's in recent years. It has grown, excuse me, of course, over time.
That's probably not happening.
Women, and so these are the reasons that they say women get paid less than men. Women are less likely to negotiate pay and more likely to be penalized when they try. They are also more likely to choose career fields that pay lower salaries and often pushed out to the highest paying professions in the country. The schedules that are disproportionately hurting working mothers because women are generally paid less. Their male, co-workers asking female job. What this is saying is when you go into a job, sometimes employers may ask, well, how much did you get paid on your last job? They've made a law now that, well, not in Maryland yet, they're trying to create a similar law in Maryland that you can't ask that question. Because they base their wages on what you made at your last job. And if you got paid less than you were supposed to at your last job, that's what they're going to be paying you. So, when you go into job interviews, you can say, but you don't necessarily want to answer the question, why are you asking the question, what does that have to do with anything, or you can say, what is your starting rate for, your other employees, but a lot of women aren't asking that, or a lot of women are just telling what they're getting. So, if you're working at a 9 to 5, if you find out, well, let me say this, would any of you be courageous enough or willing to find out if you are getting the same pay as your male counterparts? Who works a 9 to 5 here? Everybody. Do you know that are there men, first of all, at your jobs? Not for you. Are there white women at your jobs?
There are white women.
You're in a supervisor position though, right? Okay.
I'm a professional.
So you have a white woman on the same level as you?
2 months, yeah.
You know she gets paid the same amount as you?
I don't know, but I did negotiate my pay.
Okay. So you
they wanted to
negotiated
offer
your
me
pay.
25. I told them that at my last job.
Don't tell us how much you get paid when you know about it.
Just.
I mean, it's cameras on, we don't need to know all that.
I don't even care.
Okay.
So my last job, I told them that, but I used one of the tactics that you were kind of reaching on. I told them that my W-2 said 52, so that they would base it based on that. So they offered me something a little in excess of that as a result of that.
But some people wouldn't even know to say that, right? Some people would sell their shelf way shorter. Who else works a 9 to 5? Anybody have male counterparts on the same level as them? White male counterparts. Well, I'll just say male. Trees. You know, you get paid. Well, you're a teacher, so.
Yeah, so it differs based on like experience, and then if there are different types of teacher levels and things like that. So I could look up someone's pay scale online.
It's public, so you can look up how much the teachers make.
Like I could look at specific person's rate.
So that's
the longer
good.
you've been there,
That's
like
good.
the more you make. So I feel like as an educator, like it's pretty even across the field.
The reason I ask that is because some of y'all know, some of y'all don't know. If you don't know, are you willing to find out? And once you find out, are you going to address it? So that was my next question. If you're in a situation, when people ask those type of questions, it's good to say, yeah, I do this.
A lot of people just.
If you found out that what you say, Megan?
A lot of people in my industry,
She's a realtor.
Well, my 9 to 5 is affirmative action,
Oh.
human resources consultant. We do pay equity, salary analysis, and diversity, all of that.
So you're the expert here.
Yeah, I'm just.
And she quiet. No, Megan.
I don't want to seem like I'm a know-it-all.
No, we need you.
Yeah.
Megan, talk to us. What? So what would you suggest in a
That people
situation
normally
like
go to
that?
another job in her field.
Yeah,
that's what
at the actual firm that I work for, some of my colleagues, once they have been promoted, they have asked like people in a similar position what their pay rate is, and it's $12,000 more than what they got as a promotion. They give someone in a promotion $4,000, so then you have a pay gap. So those people are insulted, and they find jobs elsewhere, and they leave to get.
And people also sue though, no? I've read a couple of articles about people suing because they weren't getting paid the same as their male counterparts.
So like our actual clients, we do consulting for government contractors. So if there's a audit because it's random, or if someone calls EEOC with a complaint, then you can have an audit. And if they find any type of discriminatory practices.
And EEOC is equal employment opportunity. Okay.
So if they find any type of pay discrepancies, hiring practices, the protected class is the white man. So I'm sorry, that's the favorite group. The protected classes are your minorities and women.
And Trump's administration, I just read today, was trying to do away with the law that was brought up in the Obama era that forced people to not ask certain questions and to also display, and to also show your records.
So they'll go back and interview applicants and see if there was anything that happened. So if you were denied a job, you can get a payout.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's good to know.
That's the biggest threat to companies if you work for them. They don't want to know that you're going to the EEOC. You know, the EEOC digs and digs.
It's like internal affairs for the police.
It's like, no, it's worse than internal affairs. Internal affairs works for the company, so they're very, very good because they're like neutral. But if you already know the director or whatever, I mean, but EEOC is outside. And then you can go to local EEOC or you can go to the federal or the state. But anyway, there are two EEOCs. One is like higher than the other. So if you go federal EEOC, that's like companies don't like that because they have to pull records.
They get
from-
nervous.
Yeah, because
like,
they have to
right.
dig up every single thing, every single interview, every single
Yep, they go through
whatever.
every.
That was the first time my mom contributed to the dialogue second girl, Civil Crap Girl Talk. Thank you, Mom.
She said so earlier.
She did. Oh, I ain't here.
I
It's
said
a lot of
black women,
time.
I said black women rank higher than black
Oh
men.
yeah, you did. You
she
did.
did.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jay Bizzle. That's Jay Bizzle on the ones and twos. So if it happens, what y'all gonna do though? If y'all find out y'all getting paid less than your male counterpart, what you gonna do? Nothing.
Why did you fight for your?
I think
So you're saying if,
But
so
you
you
can fight for a compensation, but what you're fighting for is based on what you know. If you don't know what's going on in the company,
No, I'm saying what you found out.
How can you find
no,
out?
if you that's what that was why I said if
But
you
how do you find out?
that's
what I was
that's
doing.
so did y'all ever so do y'all watch Insecure?
You don't do it.
So did y'all ever see that episode of Insecure where Molly accidentally opened the guy check and she saw how much he was making? Okay. So let's just pretend that happened to you. You opened up another employee's check and this nigga making a lot more than you. What do you do?
It's
Turn up.
I mean, yeah.
I'm far from
Ashley said, what are you supposed to do? So outside of whatever the handbook may say, if you as a person, right, feel like you've been cheated out of all this money, this man who does maybe even less than what I do, with the same job, the same position as me, that you don't need no handbook for that. So I'm just saying, do you go set a meeting? Do you quit? Do you have a conversation? What do you do? I think that's what I'm Alright, so let me do Rose Okay, so
no,
Rose.
but I was the person making more money because she was standing behind me when I opened my check. I ain't like that. Like, why you snitching on me? I fought for how much I made. So she basically went to go say, "Hey, Rose told me. I ain't told you nothing."
Alright, Rose, you opening a whole nother can.
Rose,
That's the way
Some jobs don't let you negotiate if it's a standard rate.
Exactly.
Like at Verizon,
Okay, that's what I
it was
thought you were
standard.
saying. So-
But if you go somewhere where it's negotiable, then yeah, they probably like, don't tell the next person.
Granted, yes, we all could sit and say like, oh, I'm gonna be mad and I'm gonna go to my supervisor and I'm gonna have a meeting.
Yes.
And I'm gonna, what really is the exact right way? Because going to them and having a meeting does not guarantee that you're
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But the thing about it is,
supposed to do.
well, Vic, the point of you having a conversation is not to demand a raise, in hopes of you to get a raise. But some people, just like when I was saying earlier, sometimes when women go ask for a raise without even knowing anybody's pay scale, they're sometimes penalized for it. That's the risk that you're going to have to take for speaking up for yourself, and that's the risk that you always have to take when speaking up for yourself. So you can't go into it saying, I'm going to get this raise. You're going into it kind of saying, I'm going to speak up for what I think is wrong. But Tiffany and then Sierra and
I just think that's the time where the game plan begins. Like, you gotta go into your job assuming already, you already know you're not getting what you're supposed to be getting. And that's just a given, we know it, we live it. So, like, I had this same experience. I was on the job making 6 figures. I was in the low 6 figures. The people who I was working for were making, if I had a 1 in front of mine, they had a 3 in front of theirs. You don't have the luxury to just be like, I'm quitting, I gotta get out of here. But when you have the luxury of making a plan to say, I'm not going to stay in this situation, I'm not going to stay knowing, because a lot of times all we do is know, and unfortunately it's nothing that we can actually do. You can ask, you can make it rejected,
That's the point.
But you still,
the problem is we so focused on talking about everything that everybody do to us instead of talking about what we need to do ourselves to change this whole conversation. I agree with having this conversation.
Yeah, because the conversation may get you
basis, but the real conversation is,
What do you do?
what are you really gonna do?
That's what I was
If you fat, you're supposed to eat vegetables. You gotta eat vegetables. You know what I mean? That's what I'm doing right now. I was eating vegetables because I got to lose some weight, but I gotta think that I ain't worried about. That's the problem. We too worried about what they're not giving us instead of giving us what we need to give us.
you should be worried about. See, that's why people don't get no reparations. Y'all supposed to be worried about both, first of all. But
We're living in fear of what they think we are worth. I am not $15 an hour. I might have to live like that for a few minutes, but I gotta decide that I'm not gonna do that. And that's all I gotta do.
And I got something to say
I really
too.
love her point.
I disagree, but I love it.
Just to piggyback on that, I feel like she's kind of on a lot of making yourself yourself indispensable. When you make yourself indispensable, then that automatically demands what you're doing.
That's why I ain't never worried about what the white man gonna give me. And that's why
But that's what she's saying.
Again, going back to what she's saying, see with me, if I see anything wrong, I don't give a damn if it's the smallest thing or the biggest thing. If I see anything wrong, especially if it's done to me, I'm gonna say something, period. Okay, so that's why I say the first step is to address the situation. No, we may not get a raise out of it, or we may get a raise out of it. Then that's up to you to figure out, am I gonna stay here or am I gonna go? You can't go into the situation and demand something and then be mad when you don't get it. So that's why I say, yeah, you can't go get, like how you said, you expect results. You want to lose weight, you eat vegetables, you go in there, had a conversation, you want results and get this raise. It's not always gonna work like that.
No, just so we can be clear, because I want to make sure you knew what I was saying. What I was saying was, I have to make the conscious decision to say what I'm going to do. Now, I might ask, but the question was, I'm asking that they may not answer.
And then what you going to do
But
after
then
that?
what do I do?
Exactly.
I was saying,
That's the
What
point.
you gonna do? Make a move.
and guess what? Maybe the answer is you got to do
And he
what
gonna
you
suck
got
it
to
up.
say
Exactly.
that.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
knocking the person that got to do that.
Me
Because
either.
I have done that too. That's
Me
what
either.
you don't knock. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right, I agree. All right, so yeah, so if you gonna bring it up, you better be about something. If you gonna bring it, if you gonna make it an issue, have a plan. They say I'm not gonna do it, right? But then if you wanna suck it up and stay there, then suck it up and stay there and be and shut it up. Rose, and then I'm gonna move on to my reality check challenge.
It all goes back to the frame of mind too. I was there because look, this is a stepping stone. I'm not staying here.
Exactly.
She wanted to stay there, so it all depends too, like what your frame of mind is,
Because
what
life
your
is
goals are,
relative.
what are you planning to do.
Yes.
Right. All right. So and just wrapping up the "There's Money to Be Made" segment. Some opportunities for those who don't know. Rose had touched on a little bit about you can go to free workshops all the time about how to grow your business. They have minority grants. Not only are we women, but we're black, so we get it 2 times. They're also, you can create your own pay raise calendar. Some jobs, like when I was at Verizon, you work there for 6 months, you get a raise. After a year, you get another raise. Then you get certain jobs after a certain amount of time. So if you've been working at a job where you feel like you deserve a raise, ask for a raise. And that's okay. That's my tip. That's my business tip. I'm going to keep on moving. Reality check challenge. So every episode we have a reality check challenge. This is for you to be as transparent as possible. I put this in here because I get very annoyed and it's like a lot of oversaturation of fakeness with the social media and people pretending and living all of these lies. Reality check challenges, depending on what our topic is, we're going to challenge ourselves to do something relative to the topic that is real, okay? So, last time nobody did the challenge, but I'm going to give it again at the end, so just in case y'all decide that y'all want to do it. But this time it's a very simple challenge. You're actually already doing it. So the reality check challenge is to support a woman's movement. You're in a woman's movement right now. You have already supported, but let's take it a step further. I always tell everyone to try to support a black business a week. Add to that business a woman's business, white or black, I don't care. I would prefer black. However, whatever you would like to do, okay? More than a repost. I know everybody thinks, oh, I'm gonna repost this and that's enough. It's not enough.
I don't repost or
Let's do a coin. Let's spend a coin or two, okay? A small business, a big business. Once a week, try to challenge yourself. Some movements include women-owned businesses, nonprofits, women political candidates. So we know that there are a lot of women that are running for positions in your local positions. In your communities. Women's shelters, blah blah blah. Another fun challenge. So did everybody get that first challenge? Support a women's movement. And this ain't just today. This is every day every week for the rest of your life.
Even if you that woman, you support.
Even if you that woman, that's right. And if you can't think of a woman, me and Tim are always available. We got a couple of businesses. Just let me know. I'll let you choose. Okay. Moving to my next segment, which is what's popping. So we had the "There's Money to Be Made" segment. Business tips, reality check challenge, support a women's movement, and a segue into what's popping. One of our setbacks in feminism. Everybody knows about the anti-abortion law passed in Alabama.
Oh my God.
And then they have the heartbeat bill. Well, the heartbeat bill is you can't have an abortion once the fetus has a heartbeat, which is at like 6 weeks. Anybody been pregnant, y'all know that you're still drinking at 6 weeks. Nobody knows that you're pregnant at 6 weeks. I'm just saying. Nobody really knows, right? So, Georgia, Ohio, and Missouri passed the heartbeat bill. So when we think, like once upon a time we said, hell no, Trump ain't gonna be in office, and guess what? That nigga there. And then we said, once upon a time, hell no, this can't happen. And look, they're telling you, if you get raped or your cousin fucks
And I think
you,
that's
you
so
can't even
unfortunate.
have an abortion.
That's so unfortunate.
So when you watch Handmaid's Tale, the show may seem far-fetched, but then when you look at what's going on today, it's not so far-fetched. So the definition of the slut walk is a transnational movement calling for an end to rape culture, including victim blaming and slut shaming. If you're a slut, you're a slut. Slut shaming. Okay.
I know, right?
Transnational movement calling for an end to rape culture, including victim shaming and slut shaming of sexual assault victims. Specifically, participants protest against explaining or accusing rape by referring to any aspect of a woman's appearance. So what that means is, you can walk around looking like a ho-ho, but don't treat me like a ho-ho. But we all know that if you are at the slut walk, anybody ever see any pictures? Okay, so I'm big on not feeding into the double standard. If a man has sex with 100 girls, he's a slut. It's like the same thing as a woman. I'm not big on the double standard. But her movement is supposed to say, she said one time, actually, if I'm in the bed next to you naked and I say I don't want to have sex, no means no. However, if you are out on the street ass damn near naked, how do you expect people not to perceive you? And that's just reality. Even if that's not, I like to show my boobs sometimes. I like to wear tight stuff. And I shouldn't be surprised if a man looks twice or wants to holler, right?
If a woman looks twice.
And that's fine too. You know, so how do y'all feel about people who try to make it a thing or normalize being a hoe or dressing provocative?
Disregard their asses.
Because it kind of works against feminism, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. I feel like if you decide this is who you want to appear to be, I could go out here and dress half naked every day. That don't mean that I'm a hoe.
No, it doesn't. But don't be surprised if somebody
I won't be surprised if people smacking me on the ass. That shouldn't be the norm. But you shouldn't be smacking me on my ass like I'm naked. That's my choice of life. That's me.
Put your hands on anybody.
No, what?
That's just like saying to a woman that got raped because she had on booty shorts and a half shirt that you provoked him to rape you because you dressed like that.
She embraces it, but she gets defensive if somebody says something. So you're not really owning it.
Well, and that's why at the beginning I said the slut walk thing is all a bunch of malarkey.
Offensive when they're feeling guilty about it.
Exactly.
That's the first thing to address.
I agree with that.
To address what you guys said, like, if you dress a certain way, you have to know that you're going to get certain attention.
Exactly.
Don't fucking feel a certain way. If damn, shorty look good, damn, shorty, like, and then some people get like an attitude like, don't fucking look at me, like, why the fuck you dressed like
why
that?
did you wear it?
You knew when you put that outfit on. And I'm saying it's okay to be disrespected. But you have to know that some attention is going to come from some places that you might not want it to come from by you dressing like that. But you have to know, Felicia.
I'm not. Especially if you're
progressive. Okay, if I come out with my tits showing, my nipple rings are showing through my shirt. Somebody's gonna like that shit.
Let's talk about this. When I got on scrubs when you see me, you may assume I work in hospital. If I got on a white robe, you assume these things. Now listen. Whether you like it or not as a woman, we live in a world that you know if you put on something, I'm not saying you don't have the right to do it. I'm not saying no man not supposed to touch you.
Exactly.
Right. But stop, don't play.
Exactly. That's the whole point. Don't act like you're not going to be perceived as a woman. Tell me like that was called diversion, right? Because I was talking about y'all dressing like sluts and people being perceived as sluts. I was talking about a slut starting a slut movement. I was talking about somebody who has bodies on top of bodies but don't want anybody to call them a slut. That's what I was talking about. Not saying that it's okay if you dress provocative for somebody to touch you. That's not. So we lost the message there, but we're going to move on. I'll tell you some positive things, right? So 102 women were voted into the House of Representatives of the United States. That's a record, okay? Now since September 2018, women in Saudi Arabia could drive. Can y'all believe?
Really?
In 2018.
That is amazing.
They can't even show them face.
Spain's cabinet has 17 members, 11 of them women, 11 out of 17 women in their cabinet. And then, I just heard this on the radio, West Point military graduate class has 34 black women cadets from their, that's also on record. So the last segment is dropping jewels. Surround yourself with like-minded, go-getter women.
Amen.
Most importantly, black women.
Amen.
Does that mean discriminate against your white allies? Absolutely not. Whether we want to believe it or not, we do need them. We need them to reach out to their white counterparts that refuse to listen to us. We need them to spark conversations with their husbands and relatives. If you have a friend that doesn't exude the want and need for progress, equality, and basic human rights, find some new ones. Ladies, I think it's a wrap. You know what?